Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am playing with some awesome Brutus Monroe products. I've pulled out the Beware Blvd stamp set. Now I've used this a couple times before, but I still think it's great for this spooky little spider donut that I have. I also pulled out a couple Chroma Glazes. I pulled out Sherbert, Sapphire, and Pearl. And then of course, I went and looked for a couple paper collections that might work. So I have Pumpkin Spice, Playful Plaid, and Haunted Mansion. So let's see what I can do. Alright guys, so I'm starting out with some white cardstock, and I'm using the Sapphire Chroma Glaze here as a little bit of mixed media that is going to peek out from underneath of my photo and some paper strips that I plan on placing all the way across the page. So I'm kind of making it a little bit messy. I'm not making it too thick. I just want this little bit of mixed media poking out. Now I could have gone all the way down from where I wanted it to start to where I wanted it to end. However, to me, that's just wasting product because I know I am not going to have anything visible there. That is all going to be covered up. Now, if I had no idea what I was doing, a lot of the times I'll just make a background and figure out what I want on it. But in this case, I actually kind of knew what was going on. Go figure. Now, I did wipe off my palette knife right there in the center, and that is because you're not going to see it. We're going to cover that all up. Now, I decided to make some orange splatters with the Sherbert Chroma Glaze, and because I am a lazy scrapbooker, my palette knife has lots of other colors of other glazes left over upon it. So my bright Sherberty orange color kind of gets muted. The blue mixes in with it a little bit and it kind of mutes it. Now, which is fine, it works out fine. So if you do this where you make your Chroma Glaze into a splattery bit, make sure you use a clean palette knife if you don't want to cross-contaminate your colors. Like I said, for this one, it worked out fine. But I just kept adding a little bit of water with my water spray bottle until the Chroma Glaze got into more of a watery consistency than opposed to a creamy consistency. Now I am going to take a paintbrush and I'm just going to dip it into the paintbrush, and you don't even see me do this, but I'm flicking my thumb. You can't even see it. But, well, maybe you can see my thumb flick a little bit. I'm flicking my thumb so that you get the splatters. And then for the larger dots of splatter, I just go ahead and place my paintbrush directly onto my paper. And I'm going to do that on both sides, the top and the bottom, so that I can get some of this color throughout the entire page. And then I'll set that aside to dry while I figure out what in the world I am doing to actually cover up this center bit. So I grab my paper pads and I have the Playful Plaid, and I decide that I'm going to go ahead and map my photo first before I figure out my strips. So I do trim down the photo to 5.5 by 4 inches, and what that will allow me to do is to use this 6x6 paper with a great amount of color around it, so you have a decent photo mat. And then I just grabbed a piece of cardstock from my stash, and I also grabbed the tool from my stash. Now, I love this. Now, I know that there are scrapbookers out there that just love matting their photos with tissue paper because it gives it a little bit of fun texture and a little bit of extra oomph. I'm a big fan of adding tulle. Not that I do it all the time, but I am a fan of it. So I just go ahead and staple it right onto that cardstock. Now, my stapler did fly a little bit earlier there. I keep my stapler in a cart off to the right-hand side of me, and I grabbed it, and when I was bringing it over, it just flew. I got some looks from Lana and Christopher because we were all in the room together. she was coloring and he was on the computer, so you know, there were flying staplers, you guys, flying staplers. So now I've got my photo all matted, and you might be wondering why I have a photo of a spider donut. It is because Lana used to work at a donut shop, and she brought it home for us and thought it was just adorable. Now, I have a thing for a flavor combination in the fall. Dunkin' Donuts has chocolate munchkins and pumpkin munchkins, and just those two together are so delicious, so delicious. But this was a chocolate munchkin on top of a donut decorated to look like a spider, so we partook of all of the great fall donuts. So now I have all of those strips cut apart, and I just did random sizes. And now I'm going to go ahead and tape them down across the mixed media here. Now I do decide that I'm not going to have the strips go straight across. I'm going to have them kind of bounce and have a little bit of movement on the page, as opposed to just this rigid line of different pattern papers. And I did that because I felt like it kind of flowed better and felt better with the mixed media that was going to be poking out from behind it. And then of course I'm just kind of trying out my photo and where it's going to go and where I need to place the strips of paper. Because there's no sense in putting the strips of paper here when it is just going to be completely covered up with my photo. Again, I'm wasting product. If I had no idea what I was doing, then I would probably put the strips all the way across. Now, I do have this stencil. This is a Brutus Monroe stencil. It's still available in the shop. Now, I was thinking about doing some Chroma Glaze through the stencil and treating it kind of like a doily. So I was holding it up on the different areas of my photo where I would, put a doily normally, but I didn't like it. Every time I tried to visualize it, it just wasn't working for me. So I decided to place it on the top and the bottom of my layout where I might have a doily, and that is in these two places. So I'm just going to place the stencil down and then use my palette knife with the Sherbert Chroma Glaze, and I'm just going to go ahead and get that on there. So now I have this decoration at the top and bottom of my page, and I'm starting to be able to get a diagonal line of embellishment. So I'm going to put a lot of adhesive on that photo mat apparently, and I just go ahead and place that down. So it does have the little bit of tulle that you can see. It doesn't come super clearly through on the camera, but you do see it in person. Like it makes an impact more, I think, in person than it does on the camera. So now I decide that I need to add a little bit of decoration over here where I have the Sherbert Chroma Glaze through the stencil. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a couple of strips. So I'm being careful to use strips that I've definitely already used here on the layout. What I don't want to do is introduce yet another pattern, not because I'm opposed to a variety of patterns. Hopefully you can tell that with the layout I got going on here, but I want continuity. So even though the center of my layout has a lot of pattern on it, I did purposefully choose the orange and blue plaid pattern on the left because I did use that for the photo mat. So I wanted continuity there. And since I am starting to make a diagonal embellishment line, I definitely wanted continuity from the top and bottom of the page through the center. Like I needed it to flow. I didn't want it to be a big jumbled mess of pattern. I wanted it to make sense. So now I'm going to put that to the side and let it dry just a little bit, and I'm going to pull out that Blvd stamp set. Now this stamp set does come with it doesn't come with, but it does have coordinating dies available for it, which makes it a lot easier than fussy cutting out, which is what I am doing right now. but that's okay. So I'm just going to put some white cardstock in my stamp positioner tool here, and I'm using the Brutus Monroe Raven Detail ink. It is my absolute favorite black ink, you guys. Hands down, I love it. It's such a great black color. And I know that that sounds funky, but all black colored inks are not the same. Some are deeper and darker than others. Now I am using the stamp positioner tool just so I can get a really good clean stamped image. So I've got those down there, and I decide that I'm just going to use the same colors for continuity's sake across the layout. And what I'm going to do is use the Chroma Glaze to just paint in some of the details on the stamped images. Now, one of the reasons why I used to stay away from stamping in my scrapbooks was because I didn't have the patience, the inclination, or the talent to color stamped images the way you see some of the card makers color stamped images. Like, they have wicked talent. But I love stamped images, and I decided that I was going to color them the way I wanted to color them and make them work for me in my scrapbook pages. And then doing this makes it work for me. So I am just painting on the color, and I'm not doing any shadows, I'm not doing any extra dimension, I'm not doing anything but painting on a little bit of color. Now, this cute little monster hunchback guy did get a nice blue outfit, and then I'm going to color part of the house orange, just the roof, and then I take that pearl Chroma Glaze and I'm just going to color in the white areas, and it does a very, very subtle little shimmering, just a very subtle little bit of it. It really doesn't come across the camera whatsoever. But again, you see it in real life. So if you were flipping through my scrapbook albums, you would see a slight little shimmer on the haunted house. You would not see it on the camera. And, you know, sometimes that's just the way it goes. So now I'm going to go ahead and figure out the strips for the embellishment of these stenciled areas. And I cut out a little line of those gravestones from that paper and placed it there on the bottom. And then I wanted a even thinner plaid piece up here on the top. So I went ahead and did that. And now I'm going to bring in a little bit more stamping. So it says here for the booze up here at the top. And then I'm going to add in stamping here at the bottom after I get the title on. It's going to be part of the title. But I'm going to fussy cut these stamped images out. The good thing with painting with the Chroma Glazes is if you paint thinly, like I did, it dries in no time at all. You really don't have to have a whole lot of wait time for drying. And just a fun little fact, the orange Sherbert color that I stenciled through on the top and the bottom of the page, that's not completely dry, guys. It's just not. But, you know, I'm impatient and didn't want to wait for it to completely dry. Now, I am fussy cutting these bad boys out, and what you will want to do is hold your scissors. If you're using traditional scissors and not like a snip type of scissor, you want to, although I would imagine the snip type of scissor, you would probably do the same thing. I've got to get me a pair of those scissors so I can try them out. So anyway, you want to get a pair of scissors that feel comfy in your hand, and basically you just want to open and close the scissor and use your opposite hand to move around the item that you're fussy cutting. That's going to give you the smoothest cuts. So I am going to pop that little hunchback guy up. He's going to be down here on the bottom of the layout. And then once I get the little creepy haunted house fussy cut, that bad boy is going to go next to the photo. And I just think this is the cutest thing ever. I especially love that it has a gutter going down the side of it. Like, that just makes my day. So I'm going to tuck it here next to the photo, and it's pretty sad. I end up covering up the gutter, but honestly, the gutter's my favorite part of that stamp. If I would have thought about it ahead of time, I probably would have put the photograph on the left-hand side of the page so I could tuck the little house next to the photograph and you could still see the gutter, but I didn't think about it, so that's where we are. Now I am going to use these Simple Stories foam letter stickers. Now you can get these in the Brutus Monroe shop. There are a variety of colors. So I'm just going to go ahead and spell out the word donut. And then I've thought, you know, I was thinking about just calling it Spider Donut. Like that's not, it's like, here it is, it's a spider donut, not a creative title whatsoever. Not every title has to be some sort of epic thing, guys. It can just be, this is what it is. But I do decide to stamp out the word EEK instead of putting spider donut on it because I kind of just liked EEK donut, and that's what was going through my mind in my head while I was doing it, and I think I even started doing that out loud because I was getting some funky looks from Christopher and Lana. But there it is, you guys. Here we have my layout celebrating the creepy EEK donut from Lana's work. Thank you so much for joining me. Of course, links will be down below if you're interested in checking out any of the products, and I will see you guys again real soon for another video.